to the agenda?
No.
All right, looking at a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Raleigh. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Anything, anybody want to speak? Nope. Nope. All right. So we will move on to 6.1, the board committee reports.
Go ahead. I had a wellness, you want me to do wellness and you can do fiscal personnel?
I was gonna do community ed.
Okay, you go first.
We had a community ed meeting on February 13th. Community ed steak fry tickets went out. They were talking as far as looking at something else to sell raffle tickets for instead of the lawnmower that they've always done. Community ed, the wrestling coaches were the only ones that were not wanting to be a part of the summer rec activities as far as the varsity level, offering things to the students, but I believe Jacob Ahrens is going to be heading up the Summer Slam program, so Tracy's been in communication with him. I don't know if you knew that, but anyway, he's on the communication with that, and Jacob would be a great fit for that program. They're offering lots of things again this summer. They're looking at a theater camp. They would be coming in and putting on 2 productions this year. A Little Mermaid is one of the productions that they would put on. There are no price increases this year at all, so that was nice to see. Basketball camps will be the first week of summer this year, to see if that will help eliminate some of the conflicts of other camps and things that they have going on. We upped the cancellation fee. Before it was, I believe, $3 for cancellation fee, which does take a while, and people, when they cancel, more times than not, if they had signed up for a certain art class or something like that, the supplies were already bought, and all of a sudden they cancel a couple days before. And so anyway, the committee has upped it to a $10 cancellation fee instead of the $3. So that was, NDSU is putting on a STEM program camp, Code Ninjas, this summer. So again, they're always just looking at different things to add for summer rec. So that was about it, the wrap up from that.
Okay.
When is your next meeting?
Next meeting is May 8th.
I just had just a suggestion or a comment, or I'm not quite sure, but I could put this in email form too, but if parents are willing to coach their kids, if they could get like a discount on their fee for the activity that they're doing, since the parents are putting in, just a thought to bring back to the committee.
Yep.
I guess I think it's worth it if it's, parents are putting in
Yep. I think that would have to
tournament
be
time plus,
Oh,
practice time
absolutely.
throughout the
Yeah.
week. So I guess if that's something they consider, if the parent is willing to coach, then,
Yep.
a lesser fee, but
Right.
to bring
And
that
would
back
be-
to the committee.
Right, that'd have to something that they'd have to consider probably for next year, because the
Right,
thing
not
would
summer maybe
already
yet, but
be done.
yeah,
But that's a
for
really good
fall
point,
activities
though.
and stuff, so
Yep.
it would maybe help encourage parents to
To actually volunteer.
do it as well, so.
Yep.
All right,
Good
thank you.
point. Yep. Lindsay, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. Wellness committee met today. Biggest thing coming back to the board is that food service, Chelsea gave a report, and we're gonna need to update our wellness policy. We got dinged on it, some verbiage needs to be changed, so that'll be coming back to the policy committee. So policy 533, a couple things that were missing on it, whereas a designee, and I know we have superintendent and a designee, but they actually want who else would be the designee, so we might just need to get rid of that and just leave you as the superintendent. Something about marketing and advertising in a triennium review, so that'll be coming, Chelsea is going to send it to the SHIP representatives that help us out with that. They're gonna review it and get it back to me, and then I'll forward it on to you in the policy committee. So that will be coming up. Snack programs, looking at some new bags. They had a sustainability project using reusable bags, and the PTA and parents group will be purchasing those, and we'll save the snack program money in the long run. National School Breakfast Week is next week, so there's gonna be new items and some verbiage and stuff up on the boards for the kids. Nothing really new. Tracy gave a report of community ed, just reiterating what you did, Sandy, about the summer rec brochures coming out in the coming months, or in the coming month. And that's about it. We talked briefly about a summer food program, if that's something that our district would be possibly interested in. That's coming from the SHIP representatives. The MDE is really kind of pushing that, but we don't know if that's something we even want to consider. So, but that was brought up there. And then, of course, the vaping, they had that Jason McCoy from Fargo-Cass County Public Health came in and spoke to the staff, spoke to the National Honor Society, and student council, and then the parents they had that evening. Do we have numbers? How many came to that, do you think? The
Yes, said we had a really good turnout. I would say probably about 25.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good turnout for
Okay.
that.
So, the biggest thing right now is, you know, the talk was, and our 2 student reps were there, and they said they possibly would be interested in presenting to the middle school kids. So I think coming from peer, older kids coming to the younger kids about vaping would be a huge benefit to our students, and some good peer review and stuff. And then the Healthy School Summit's coming up. It's free to staff to attend. SHIP will pay for subs if they want to go, and I think that's like March 28th, Thursday, March 28th. And they're talking about vaping there. Lot of talk on that. So, yeah, that was it from the wellness group, and we meet again on April 15th.
Okay.
Oh, and before I forget, March Madness, this will be going out to the staff, but since we had a board meeting, everybody wants to exercise. Brian, don't take one. They'll give you yours. They didn't give me one for you, so they said they'd deliver one to you.
Lindsay, what's the Healthy School Summit?
Healthy School Summit. I will pass this down. They have a lot of different things. They have breakouts on farm to school, minimally processed, scratch-made whole food menu items, a new look at concession stands, healthy cooking in the classroom. Then they talk about vaping, grant writing for healthy schools, a lot of just kind of cool things.
That's for teachers to go to?
Teachers, staff, kids can go, yeah, anybody can. So, I can send that to you. And that was
Wondering
it.
as far as the grab-and-go breakfast.
I asked her about that, and she said their numbers were really, really strong when they got back up, and then with all these late starts, they just haven't been able to offer a lot of breakfasts.
Okay,
So-
but I just have a request.
Oh, a request,
for
I'm sorry.
Muffin tops to be brought back.
Muffin tops, okay.
I said I'd bring it forward,
Well, my kids want salt and pepper.
and
so
without
I'll do
chocolate, it's just like too much chocolate.
that. Yeah.
To
Okay,
me, I can never have enough chocolate, but anyway.
all right, I will pass that on.
Okay, and so our fiscal personnel, we had talked about our budget and having to tweak the budget coming up. With the loss of some students, that always affects our budget. And what we can put into restricted reserve, or restricted funds compared to unrestricted funds. Just juggling numbers there. Let's see, Brian had kind of given us a preliminary budget, but the next one will be coming out in a while. It's something for us to look at, and he, like I said, he'll send the next one out when it is finalized.
Everybody will get that this week. Yeah, we need to go through the fine tooth comb. No
Yep.
surprises in August, the audit.
Don't see anything to add.
No, I agree, that sounded good.
Okay. Anything on that? All right, so we will move on to 6.2, the superintendent report.
Just a few items, we'll keep it short. I did want, and you've seen in the packet, there's a second retirement And that will be a big loss and a transition also. And what I would say is, we're wanting to dedicate our time to be grandma more than being a DGF. I don't see why, because I guess that's the case, so we have to work on a transition plan. And we've been talking about it in the district office. We have some ideas on that. So as we work that plan, you'll notice the date will be June 30th. So we have some plans on how Cindy can be helping us with audit prep, and then as we have the auditors come in August. There's a particular separation that has to take place for a period of time, and but again, we'll put that plan together and bring that back to you at the next board meeting. I wanted to give you a heads up on it, at least today. So that, again, that's gonna be a
Sad day and a happy day.
Happy
You know,
day
happy
for you
for-
and your
exactly.
family.
You know, and we'll have more of that transition. I asked, Jeannie if she wanted to make sure that she stayed until she's been an employee for 50 years, but that's not gonna happen. So, and rightfully so. So we'll put a plan together on transition for that. Also, some other things that have been, everything's been moving pretty fluidly. At the next board meeting in March, we need to make sure that we bring forward a overnight, we have students that'll be going to Model UN down in the Twin Cities, so that needs to be board approved because of it being an overnight. And I think we're going to have expansion of not just students involved with the Model UN, but potentially some of our student leadership at the high school that are involved that have been putting a plan together on a congress, or is that the terminology that we've got as far as the student leadership? Pardon?
House of Students is what we're calling it.
Office of Students. So
House.
House of Students. So we have to, it is something that is not board approved yet, and it really needs to go through a process to make sure that we get alignment with the high school handbook, and then become an official recognized group by the school board, so that we can answer some questions as far as, okay, how does this relate? Where is the separation of functions between, for instance, student council,
Right.
National Honor Society, and what we don't want to have is one is just taking over duties of something else. There needs to be some coordination with that. I've been in contact with Paul Marquardt, who I know has been with Anna, and there's potential of having some of our student leadership attending at the same time that the Model UN conference is. There is an opportunity on high school leadership, and they actually have a request to have some of our students present what they're doing at statewide conference. So before we do all that stuff, we've got to make sure that everything is actually approved. So there's some things we have to look at for March 11th, because I believe that's the only opportunity before these conferences, all this stuff comes up for the board to approve the overnight. And the Model UN definitely is an overnight. And it would be nice to have some of our students that are involved in the Model UN come here to explain what they're doing with the project. It's a great expansion. You know, we've been trying to increase our, I would say, our co-curricular offerings to students that are not directly linked to just athletics. You know, we've seen that with the robotics. We've seen that now. Last year we had some students go to the Model UN conference in the Twin Cities, and I think it's just going to continue to expand in our region as more schools. It isn't something that this region have partaken in. It's been more eastern part of Minnesota, and of course all the metro and southern Minnesota have been involved. So it's something that is we're at the very much the entry level on that.
Is that through the Y?
It's through the YMC,
Right.
yeah, YMCA at the state level and the U of M.
Yep.
So it's, the U of M actually created a position for outreach for Greater Minnesota. And that's how this expansion has been happening. But it's neat to see what they're doing. Basically what happens is they break up into particular groups, and each of the groups has a particular country that they represent. And so as they have the platform of the issues, they have to be coming there for the Model UN conference, representing the views from the country that they're there for. And I've been involved in it with it before at a school district in up north. The North American, the large one in North America is typically in Winnipeg through the Rotary, and it's fascinating to watch. It's right at the big arena downtown where all the concerts are, and Sullivan Arena, I think. And kids come in, the delegations come in wearing the garb from all these different countries. That one's really, really cool to see. So I think this will continue to take off. I will be sending the board an update that we received from the National Weather Service on Friday regarding the flood potential. There's some major changes based on from the January report to the report that came out last week, to the fact that the PowerPoint presentation was 56 slides. It had basically every location, history going back and looking at, as an example, the chance of major flooding in Oslo, as an example, went right off through the roof. I mean, it's like 90-some% chance that Oslo will be an island again. If you're not familiar what happens there, Oslo actually does become an island. So like for 2-3 miles, all the way around the city of Oslo, it's water. It's overland flooding, and they have to close all roads down, and you have to take one of the boats in with wind boats, and you have to take that in. And I know it for a fact because I did it when I was superintendent there. And you basically, that place, it shuts down everything else, and we'd have the students go to the American Legion for school during the day for about 2 weeks. It's just incredible. But everything's going to come down to March on the flooding. The big issue that is causing some of this, it's not just the amount of snow we have here, because there isn't that much moisture in the snow here. The issue is the saturation levels down in southern Minnesota and Iowa are completely saturated, so they expect, and if we have a cold March, so then we have a fast thaw, then the likelihood that all that water is going to be coming up and it's going to be hitting, the farther north it goes, the worse it's the potential for the flooding then. So if we have it'd be nice to have a very mild March so we can have a little bit of slower melting, but it's really going to come down to that. So we're going to have to watch that. And like I said, I will email you that as an attachment tonight. Couple other things. Last week I met Brandon Lunick, the superintendent of Moorhead, and I met with our local legislators about a career academy. And we did it through a conference call instead of driving down Wednesday through that lovely storm, which saved us 11 hours of driving, I am very happy to say. So we did a conference call for quite a while. They were very, very excited about the possibility, and to the point that now, tomorrow, we have a conference call with the legislators again, and Tim Strom. Tim Strom is the one who writes the bills. So he actually is the one who wrote our boundary bill. So we're doing that tomorrow morning. And then Wednesday, we have a meeting with officials from BNSF who want to discuss how we may be able to do some partnerships with this. So this stuff is continuing to move. It really is exciting on the possibilities, and I know Brandon has been contacted from some of our other heavy hitters that want to have some discussions. The bill that we are putting together tomorrow, it will get introduced within a week, and that is going to be written at companion bills at the House and the Senate, and we are looking at $6 million, and the $6 million would be covering the cost of the facility that we're looking to purchase, and $2 million for refurbishing the building, so that if this does go through, we'll have the building, and it will not increase any local taxes to have that building in place.
All state aid,
Pardon?
all state aid, the 6 million.
All state aid. All state
You're
aid.
talking 4 million for the building.
4 million for the building and 2 more million for refurbishing it. And then what we're doing is, the discussions that we've had, we were emphasizing the need to create a separate funding source on deferred maintenance for this, because this is a new realm for K-12 school districts. We're looking at creating career options for students based on jobs and career paths that are evolving. So the idea of deferred maintenance on regular textbooks and all that, this is completely different. It has to be looked at more like a private sector, where if you're replacing equipment every 5 or 8 years, we have to be able to have that same type of a funding stream from the state. Why that's important is, if this building comes to happen, like we're hoping, what can't happen is that building goes against any of the school districts on the square footage reports. Because otherwise it's going to affect the capital.
It goes against any of the schools?
We want to have it as a separate one that has
Yeah.
nothing.
Okay, because I'm
To
like,
go
wow,
against.
it's a huge building.
Yeah, because what'll happen is and the concept is not foreign to the state. It's not like we're trying to create something that will never happen. We deal with interdistricts, special ed co-ops and what else not. Down in the Twin Cities, there's special language and statute that allows multiple districts to go together to have these type of facilities, and then it doesn't go against your square footage reports and all of that. So what we're trying to do is say, look, for greater Minnesota, these are some ways that if you truly want to affect regional workforce and such, we need to be able to look at this. And they're excited because, this would be a pilot for the state, but it can be replicated in different ways. I'll give you an example. Because I grew up north of Thief River Falls, Greenbush Middle River is a school district that just closed a building. Any community that closes the building, in those small communities, what do you do with those buildings? There's very few that are going to use a building that large in a small community. But if multiple school districts go together and create a workforce center, a career center out of that building, and have different funding streams, now none of the school districts are trying to take kids from each other through open enrollment. And they can't offer those type of programs by themselves. They're too small. They're not efficient. But if they have multiple school districts doing it, so I think we're going to see some replication that is going to work for local workforce needs.
Would this be deemed a Clay County?
Clay County, it's going to be actually probably set up through,
Barnesville,
it's
would
going to
have the
probably
opportunity.
be set up through an inter-district, and what'll happen is that inter-district will own the building and then lease out to the needs. And so, yes, it will definitely be the Clay County. And then that way, school districts, just like with, if you think of QComp is something that's available to school districts, but you're not required to do it. If you want to get into that funding stream, you can. This will be the same thing. If Barnesville sees that, all right, maybe there's, one of the programs in the building is a medical field, and offering the CNA, the LPN and such, maybe they can't offer that at Holly, so they have their kids for just that. And it may be that DGF, Moorhead, Barnesville, we do it for different things, but then that way you just pick the particular components and send your kids to that site for that program. And then you, based on the enrollment, you pay that portion of the cost. And you get a new funding stream for the deferred maintenance needs and all of that. So I think between Brandon and I, we've figured out the things that must happen, so that this isn't going to be something that's going to be a huge burden on any of the school districts. It should only be something that enhances opportunities for the kids. So it's exciting. There's a lot of things in flux with this. Today I had a meeting for quite a while with at Concordia, with the Concordia president, and then the other three superintendents, West Fargo, and Moorhead. Again, looking at what are some ways that we can combine resources to do things that will benefit students in the whole FM area. And that's the first of those meetings that we've had, but it was a very, very good start, because Fargo and West Fargo are looking at the same things with career academies. So a lot of things that are exciting that if I put them into an email to you guys, it would have been in one of my novel emails. So it'll be easier to cover tonight. That's it.
All right, thank you. Moving on to 7.1, this is the approval of the February 11th meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Moving on to 8.1, and this is under the business. The claims and accounts.
$226,736.78.
And also in there is your treasurer's report and Minnesota liquid asset activities account. So the motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Commissioner Rowley, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Same sign. Moving on to the 9.1, the early retirement offer. This is for Kip Bosler. And any questions on that, on the compensation part? Any questions? Okay, looking for a motion to approve.
I'll
early
move.
Retirement.
I'll
Ronnie,
second
you want to second it? All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? This is 9.2, this is the early retirement agreement for Kip Bosler.
So moved.
Motion by Amy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. Don't have any questions, I just thank him for his many years of service to the kids. He has touched many, many lives. So we will lose another good one. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Moving on to 9.3, this is the non-certified contract for Becky Mung, paraprofessional, $15.48 an hour, effective February 18th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Raleigh, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lindsay. And this person is at which?
She is at the Dilworth site, so we still have one more to fill.
Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Moving on to 9.4, the proclamation of Paraprofessionals Week, which is March 4th through the 8th. Do we have the proclamation or? Oh. Okay. Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Amy, is there a second?
Second.
By Lindsay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Same sign. Moving on to 10.4, we did not receive any information for a meet and confer, so we do not meet tonight for that. 10.2 is Operations Committee, which is at 5 o'clock on the 11th, and followed by the next school board meeting on the 11th. Wear your Rebel stuff that we were given for pictures that night. And it's gonna be a long meeting. We had lots of things to discuss on the 11th, right? And that will also be the time that we will make that decision as far as if we go with Plan A or Plan B.
And we will be putting out mailing next week
Okay.
for the survey, as we said in that letter. And it'll be the base survey. It's just Plan A, Plan B. And Plan B will cost $1 million more, but, so that mailer will go out. People can either send that one right back into one sheet, or else they can go online, because they'll have the link to be able to do that.
And then, Friday night's basketball game had gotten canceled because of the storm. So we are going to be, and that would have been the final night to put up the display boards. So now they will be out on Thursday night's game. Thursday night's game is at 7 o'clock, I believe.
Yep, first the only tournament.
So that's when we will have the display boards set up. And that needs to be announced to the public when that will be out.
Teresa's gonna do an instant alert and put it on the web and
Okay.
handle all of that. She does a
So
great
this-
job with that.
The same information that'll be at the basketball game will be on the website?
It
under
is
the-
there now.
Yeah, and it's been updated. I know Jake's already been working on putting like the drawings and some of the history and what else not are on the web links.
So do we have plans before March 11th to get together? Because I know we had good feedback. I was there Tuesday, Thursday night last week. A lot of positive feedback, but then there also were a lot of sticky notes. So we were encouraging people to, like, if they had questions, go ahead and put them up there. Is there
Or comments.
time to go over that before March 11th? Or is that something you guys want to do, or do you want to do it that night?
I think what we can do, we have it. Tracy's already put everything together in a spreadsheet on all those sticky note comments. And what we'll do is, we will give everybody access to that. We'll give everybody access to that particular spreadsheet, and then it just comes down to whether, we want to have a discussion, an open forum for a while before you have the vote. Or unless you want to have another night where you just invite the community to come in.
I would be in favor of that,
Of,
having another night to invite the people to come in and then go over the questions with.
like, get together with the task force again? And, I mean, public obviously welcome, or?
No, I mean, public could be welcome. I don't think we need to get the task force together again, but it would be nice to take over all of those questions that were presented, and just so you had time to sit and talk over before it comes before.
I mean, we could set it up for next Monday, if you want to keep to a Monday
Monday.
tradition, and just get an instant alert out that we do a meeting here, that all the board members and anybody who, then you don't have a game. It's just, okay, look,
What do you
we're going to
guys
be
think?
here, we put the boards up, and anybody who wants to come in and see them, if they haven't had an opportunity, and we can announce that stuff again at the game on Thursday, but we put on the web, and that would be easy to set up for next Monday if you want. At least then there's an
What are your
opportunity.
thoughts on that? I mean, I guess, there's some sticky notes that I read, and I know there's a lot of things that we already are addressing, with what their questions were, but
Most of the things that I saw in the sticky notes as I've reviewed them has been, we don't need the walking track, or we do need the walking track, or we need a bigger gym, and, which again, what people have to remember, all we're doing right now is
Right.
voting on
Right.
Plan A or Plan B.
Right, no size of.
And it's
Everything
conceptual.
on the size of the gym and all those things, that is all gonna be surveyed in May.
okay.
Because we gotta go from conceptual to design phase.
So maybe we don't necessarily need to meet, but if we have that stuff written down, and can we decide later this week if I don't know, before Thursday night?
It would need to be before, because would have to put notice as far as if we were holding a meeting.
Right.
To me,
Well,
it's
I'm
still
just saying
about
if I
Plan
could-
A or Plan B.
Just
For now.
cut and dry. Okay.
Because
So
really,
then we
that's all
don't
that you're gonna
necessarily
do
have
on the 11th, is just Plan A, Plan B. Almost every one that I read was just how people were stressing. We need bigger, either we need a bigger weight room, a bigger wrestling room, or a bigger gym, and,
Or our
I mean,
dance.
Or dance.
or dance room. But again, all of that has nothing to do with whether we go Plan A or Plan B.
We're just looking
Because
at
we'll
the
get the same
concept, are we gonna
comments.
consolidate the elementaries or are we not?
Exactly, and we need to know that on the 11th, because we have leadership that's trying to set up, for the 14th of March, sending people to places. And whether it be a 5-8 middle school or a K4 elementary, they need to know on the 11th which way. And then from March on until we hit May, will be the architects coming in and then working with staff and taking feedback from the staff. And then when we get into May, that week of the prom, where we have the 2 concerts and what else not, that's gonna give us some really good opportunities to talk about those particular issues, because by that point, we'll know exactly how much money extra for each of these components. And we'll have a much better idea from the legislature, what's coming. And really, when people ask, how big is this bond gonna be? We're not gonna know until, and you've heard me bring up about these funding streams. I mean, we can have this thing for the exact same project that could be 35 million. It could drop all the way to 27 million, just based on how we utilize funding streams. So by that point in time is when we need to know that, because then we can say, here's the exact tax impact. But that'll get us to the design phase, and I think then you really, Amy, that's when we really want to have the opportunity for the public to sit down with the board members and stress their, like the emails and some that we've been receiving from people. It's good. It's good that they're asking that stuff, but
We'll just stick
exactly.
with March 11th then for now, and
yeah, I think we're gonna be fine with that part.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
comfortable? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, the only thing you don't get is general public that doesn't go to games, doesn't look on the internet, but are they gonna come to a meeting? I don't know, so.
And they may end up, by the time we hit the May meetings, where, okay, now you're in design phase.
Yeah,
And you know exactly what the tax implications are by each of these things that you want to have. And right now, we can't tell them that, because
Well-
it's just A and B.
And plus, hopefully, we're done with winter storms in May.
Yeah.
So
It better be, and not flooding.
and I think option A or B is gonna be more important to the parents than anybody else, because that's the main thing. Are you switching your
Yep.
reconfiguration? And, I don't think the general public necessarily cares one way or the other, but
The conversations I've had with people that don't have kids in is that they definitely can see in option B that we can maximize revenue better. And we've talked about this now tonight. I mean, we run into issues with that because open enrollment doesn't work as well with the setup with 2 elementaries. We can maximize open enrollment much better with Plan B. We can figure out, are we, the amount of teaching staff that we need at every grade level. It's much easier to predict, so.
well, it was fun to be at the games, and
Yeah.
the
Oh,
kids
it
were
was-
super interactive, and the robotics thing was there too, and that was
Yep.
awesome. The kids
That was
loved
very, very nice
That
to
was
see the
on
robotics
Thursday
team.
night?
They actually set up a square and they had their 2 little sides where they could grab balls and,
Yeah.
was it square blocks? They had a couple different things.
That was horrible.
That was fun. It was
I
awesome.
just,
Oh, you tried doing it? Oh, I didn't even try it. I thought, this is a kid's game. This is awesome.
I thought you guys were great. I thought the whole admin team and the school board were just great ambassadors that night with this, laying that out.
Well, I will be there Thursday night, and
I
Ronnie,
will-
you're going out of town?
hopefully I'm leaving Wednesday, we'll try again, so.
Okay.
And just a quick thank you to the admin team for being so kind. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
Now,
much.
did you say that overwhelmingly the people there chose option B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the first night. It was,
what, second night, any different? I didn't stay till the end, but
You said there was 1 or 2?
well, the first night, there was
One.
2. There was 2 at the end of the night.
okay.
But I think it was 50-some on Plan B, 2 on Plan A that first night. It was just so overwhelming. And then the second night, I think there was probably 7 or 8 that were Plan A. But then again, you know, the majority far and away was Plan B the second night. And of course, we didn't have Friday night, so we'll see what Thursday brings us.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. 6:41, meeting